Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm Dr. Subhash Gupta.
Well, thank you for coming. So,
Very much for inviting me, sir.
so my name is Rob DelMastro. I'm with the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center out of Clark University.
Okay.
And I want to welcome all of you to our first Tech Talk with Rob. This is a very new thing for us, and we're just going to kind of let it happen and figure out where this is going to go from here.
Okay.
The whole idea behind this is you folks come on, you ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer. I've got I don't know, about 20 plus years, 25 years of experience in the tech world. And as I work with a lot of my clients, I know they've got a lot of tech questions, just simple stuff, like how do I register a URL, or, how do I do a formula in Excel? And I just thought it would be a good idea to put this kind of forum together. So folks can come on, ask questions, and either I'll answer them or maybe someone else on the call can answer them. But the whole idea is the share of information and to try to make all of this work. So
let me tell you my background. I'm an ordinary oral surgeon. I'm retired now, and I have invented many products, and we have a very good website. But my problem with the website is that I cannot have a big crowd in front of my website. There is no this. I have since last 15, 17 years, I've been doing it, but I'm not able to pull a lot of people in front of my website. But though I'm doing well, but still I have to increase. I have to go in a big way, And
so are you talking about traffic to your website?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
More traffic to be shared there in front of my website. It is a very good product, and I would love to send you the sample, and then you can see that. But I would love to have a more traffic on my website, sir.
Okay.
My website is very simple. PerioCube.com.
Okay.
It is a medicine for the gum diseases.
Okay. So that actually isn't a technical question. That's actually a marketing question that you have.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just like that. So that's what I thought, that might as well you can help me out for any other errors to be corrected, with the website.
Right. So have you ever used our services here at the Small Business Development Center?
Yeah, no, actually, I know your institute very well. I used to work in Worcester City Hospital. I was there for 15 years.
Okay.
I did my residency in oral surgery, and many times I had visited your Clark University.
Okay.
In Worcester, yeah.
So what I would suggest, and I don't mean to push you off on this, is because it's not necessarily a technical question. It's a more of a question of marketing. I would suggest sign up for a session with one of us, and we can kind of walk you through some marketing ideas of how to increase flow to your website.
Okay, good.
I think that would be, from a technical side, have you registered your business with Google? So it's one of the things I talk to all my clients about, Google My Business.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I'm a member of Google, and I think Google is hosting my website.
Okay. All right. All right. So that's, from a technical side, at least for all of you that are on, for anyone who owns a business, registering with Google My Business is probably the best SEO. So SEO, search engine optimization, trick that you can do. Now, not everybody can register with Google My Business. You have to have, you have to be a storefront, really, to register with them. If you're a consultant out of your home, Google will kind of bark at trying to register your business with them. But you're obviously not. You're not doing your work out of your house. So if you've got a business address, that's one of the key things with Google My Business, is having a business address so that you show up on their maps and such. But but that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So who else do we have on the, I see a lot of just names, no faces, just a few
Rob,
faces.
I think Diane Darling has her hand up. Diane, do you have a question?
I think you're on mute, Diane. Nope,
Should be
not.
at the bottom.
Now, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. All right. Hi, Rob. Nice to see you. A couple
Hi,
questions.
nice, Diane. Nice to see you too.
So Google My Business. I do run a business out of my home.
Okay.
For a variety of reasons, safety, one of them. I don't want to have my street address out there.
Of course.
Should I, and my last name being Darling, I've gotten every whack job in the world trying to reach You wouldn't believe this stuff. I mean, I used to get the calls, and my neighbor one time said, get a dog whistle, hold your ears and blow, and then they never call back, which actually worked. I digress. So, should we just skip the Google My Business? Because most of my business truly comes from referrals. So, I don't mean to poo-poo the Google part, but is that something that would be as important for people who are consultants?
So what I used to tell folks all the time is just go get a UPS store suite number and use that as your business address. But Google's starting to get smart on that and is starting to reject those as business addresses. So, that's a bit of a challenge. I'm 100% with you. My last name's not Darling, it's DelMastro, but when I ran my consulting business out of my house, I surely didn't want to have my home address as my address. The last thing I wanted to do is people showing up at my house. Back then I could use a suite number and such. It's unfortunately that, being registered with Google, as I said, is such a significant piece of Google finding you when people search, and so for all of us who work out of our homes and struggle a little bit with that, it's unfortunate to miss out on that opportunity. It's your chance to tell Google who you are, tell them where your website is, be able to post, on it. You can treat it just like social media. You can post events on it. You can post, just general posts on it. You can do promotional things on it. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with it. And all of that just plays into your, you playing nice with Google, and like Google or not, they're the #1 search engine that's out there. Yeah. Yep.
If I can do a different question, this is sort of a little bit of productivity and technology.
Sure.
So I feel like I have every productivity tool in the world and I'm still unproductive. And so I would just be interested from a workflow perspective. So here's a use case.
Yep.
I do video for someone wants me to speak. And so I'll do a quick little video. Hi, I'm Diane. I look forward to being your speaker, So I record that. It's raw. It goes down to what file. And then I want it to go to the next step where it's edited. And then the next step where it's ready to go. Do you have a workflow technology that I could use? Or is that just a productivity get organized in your head, Diane?
I'm not sure I fully understand your question. Are you looking for a workflow on how to edit videos?
No, I've got at least 5 tools to edit.
Okay, so that may be problem #1.
It is. So do you have one you like and recommend?
I don't do a lot of video editing. I'm gonna reach out to one of my clients, Lorian.
Okay.
What would you recommend? He's a tech wizard. I'm not sure why he's on Tech Talk, but so I'm going to put him on the spot.
So for video editing, I would suggest either organizing your file environment to have folders where you put the videos that you've preparing to edit, you're currently editing, and that you're done editing as a starter kind of thing. Then there are some tools out there that you can utilize to kind of like just organize your task workflow. But that's a little bit separate from organizing the files. So you need both.
Yeah.
What do you mind sharing with that?
I personally like to use like Trello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miro,
There's a bunch of those out there. Asani, yeah. That do workflow for you. Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to find something, yeah, and I've used Trello. I just find that, but Trello is too, you can't upload a video to Trello. It's too big.
Yeah, I believe so. So what would be the best? I believe Google Drive actually does have task management attached to when you upload files. Let me check that right now.
Task management. I mean, Todoist, Trello, Asana,
Right.
my CRM is Zoho, but this is
Okay.
really, it's a workflow issue as well as a brain issue with somebody who's got ADD.
Yeah, and even if you can't necessarily upload it to a tool like Trello, if you use the boards and you just move things from board to board to board based on where you are, you've got to have the discipline to do something like that. But I don't know of any tool out there that's going to use AI and figure out where you are and move your project along.
Well, Rob, that's the thing. I need someone to chase me down and say, get it done, get it done. I'm playing around with Notion, which is interesting and yet completely.
That's very different.
Yeah, but I like the way that Notion lets you bring multiple things together.
I find it to be an interesting tool for organization. It's surely not a workflow tool in any way. At least I haven't found it to be a workflow tool. You
can change the lists into a different view of Kanban, so it can be like Trello, but it feels like it has everything and nothing where you want it, which is
right. It's a canvas, and it allows you to kind of develop the canvas to your means and liking. And what I have found with tools like that is if you don't invest some time up front and organize it, think about it, work with it, it just becomes a distraction. You get lost in trying to make it work for you. And, the next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and great, you got a really pretty page, but you didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
That's what I found with tools like that. I have downloaded probably every single app on the App Store for workflow and to-dos. So I feel your pain, and I have yet to ever find something that fits my specific workflow. And I think a lot of people that I've talked to kind of struggle with the same thing.
If it's any helpful, I can share one that is working very well with me right now, which is Evernote. And Evernote now has an integration with the Google Calendar.
Okay.
So you go into Evernote, you click home, and it has if your calendar is connected, it has the list of all your appointments.
Yep.
Right before your appointment, it pops up a pre-formatted, here's the notes, and then here's the action items. And then in your Evernote, it has do this by event, mind you.
Yeah.
So that has been very helpful because instead of having, umpteen notebooks and here's another notebook and here's index cards, that has been helpful. That has been helpful. If that's useful to anybody, and it's free. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've often reverted back to notebooks and journals. It's an interesting dilemma. I've always been a big Microsoft fan. So right now I am in the process of using their Power Apps tool. So it actually allows me to build mobile applications for my tablet. And it integrates in with, of course, all the Microsoft backends. So I've got all my lists out on SharePoint, and I'm using a mobile app to kind of tie it all together. And it's interesting. And then Microsoft has the ability of developing workflows, actual AI technology in the background that'll interpret your data and react to it. A lot of work to get all that stuff done, but it's a very interesting platform that I'm just starting to explore. So,
okay, thank you.
I see another hand raised. Kasuki, I don't know if I butchered your name there, but please.
Thank you very much. May I share my screen?
Yeah, I think I've, yep, I have it set to share. As long as it's something we all can see.
Yes. It's not too secret. It's a, it doesn't show up.
We don't see it yet. No.
Okay, just a moment. I just got a new PC and I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, strange. I'm sorry. I thought I prepared well. No.
Rob, you want to jump to another question while Kasuki's getting ready?
Carolyn, I see that you're here. Did you come with a question?
Not yet, although.
Okay.
I do have a question. I'm concerned about security.
Okay. As you
online.
should.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I have Windows 7.
Okay.
And of course, it's no longer being, protected and so on and so forth. And I've tried Windows 8. I've tried Windows 10. I've tried Mac. The reason why I have Windows 7 is I'm a photographer and all of my software was from 2013
Okay.
and none of it works on Windows 8. And it's thousands of dollars worth of software that can't be transposed. And then so you got to buy a whole bunch of software. So I said, I'll stick with the Windows 7.
Okay.
I've been doing most of my banking and stuff like that on my iPad. And, that's, I feel comfortable with that. But I'm just wondering how safe is my Windows 7 computer?
Not very. I mean, it's, there's a whole bunch of ifs in that statement, right? So Windows 7, there are surely known issues with the operating system. And if somebody wanted to exploit them, there's all kinds of information out there on how to exploit them. So that's the first if. Does the person really know, about Windows 7 and the issues with it? The second one is they have to find you, so,
Right.
because you're on Windows 7 doesn't mean you're going to be targeted. But in today's world, I mean, especially during the holidays, I'm sure all of us received over 50, phishing emails, right? And so that's the way that somebody finds out about you. You click on something and you go to a website and now they understand your operating system, the browser that you're using, your IP address, and then you can become a target. So sure, you're absolutely exposing yourself by having an operating system that's old, but
Yeah.
But again, I mean, what's the likelihood of it happening? I can't tell you that. I can tell you, you're more likely to get hacked than I am, on Windows 10.
Okay.
It just,
Yeah.
some of the things, you can protect yourself with is like when you browse the internet on that machine, use private browsing, don't go on with, your full blown, I don't know what browser you use, but, if you're not under a private browsing session, then all of your information shared, when you go in private browsing, it really kind of does a good job of locking down who you are. Now it's a pain because you can't save passwords, you can't save cookies, but it is a much more secure way of browsing on a machine of that age.
Okay. Yeah. My next step is just bite the bullet and get another computer,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
just, who likes to learn new systems?
Well, I
So-
mean, especially if you've got a lot of money invested in software, who
Well,
wants to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. And although fortunately I'm close to retirement, so, it's probably a moot point at this,
Yeah.
this point. So, but you always worry about getting, I had my social security number stolen last year,
Oh.
so I'm really on guard because
Yeah.
and it was somebody applied for unemployment using my social security number.
Of
Fortunately,
course.
I was able to find it, and find the culprit, and actually found him in a hotel room in California.
God. Okay.
Yeah, no, I have very good research skills. So, fortunately, I was able to so, because obviously the police have better things to do than
Yeah.
helping me with that sort of thing.
Yeah. All right. All right. How we doing? Were you able to do screen sharing now, you think?
Yeah,
There you go.
I think.
There we
Okay.
go.
There we go.
All right, good.
Hey,
So I have a question about security of the home network.
Okay.
So currently I have a home network like this. The Fios comes into my home, and
Yep.
I have an optical network unit on the wall, and it comes to my Verizon Fios gateway,
Yep.
E1100, and then I have for Wi-Fi, home Wi-Fi, I have ASUS wireless mesh network router,
Okay.
and I have a bunch of equipment
Sure.
connected to the network.
Yep.
So the questions are, I plan to use a home network for my startup office until the company grows and have enough funding to hire somebody for the network management.
Sure.
And both Fios gateway and wireless mesh router has firewall functionality each.
Mhm.
Each of the firmware is updated. So are they secure enough? Or also, I want to set up a VPN server so that I can access the machines from remote locations. ASUS mesh network router seems to include that functionality. Is that good enough? And I remember you recommended to use Unify or Sony or in the private session with you earlier.
Yep.
So-
Sonic Wall is more of a business class. Not
Okay.
too many people put that in their homes. Yep.
Okay. So the
So
question
this
is, yes.
let me
Yes.
at least address a couple of those questions. So
Right.
is your current hardware good enough? So the whole thing with security is what's your weakest link. So do you have a Ring doorbell that's also on your Wi-Fi? Do you have Alexa on your Wi-Fi? So one of the things people overlook is they throw all these smart devices on their Wi-Fi network, and it's the exact same network that you're using. Well, I can tell you every single one of them have been hacked. And if somebody can hack into those devices, then there's a potential path to you. All right. Now,
Yes.
sure, you definitely have a couple of layers in there, which is fine. And it's definitely a great start. That I in my home had that environment for many years, where I had a secondary Wi-Fi unit that did mesh through the house and used their firewall settings in there. You can at least with the setup that you have create multiple Wi-Fi networks. I'm pretty sure with the ASUS mesh router that you have, you can do that. And you should throw all of your home devices on that Wi-Fi, and you and your work on a very separate Wi-Fi. And in your firewall, make sure the two shall never meet.
Right.
And that'll at least put some layer of protection, in there for you.
Yeah. So I put I don't know, like a Blink camera system and TV, Apple TV, those kind of things. They don't have to interact with my home network, so that I put them in a guest network.
Okay. Yeah, and the only thing I would say to that is sometimes these routers, they create a guest network and they leave them wide open. So,
yeah.
you know, make sure that you've gone in and you've locked down that guest network.
Right.
You know, the whole idea with a guest network is it's kind of free for anybody to come on. Make sure that's not the case.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I mean, that's a great start. As far as, you know, punching a hole in your firewall for VPN, it's just that. You know, if you give me your IP, I can scan your right now, I can scan your IP and find all the open holes in your firewall. So as soon as you open a hole for your VPN, and I forget what port VPN is on, you're theoretically opening up a hole in your firewall and in your network to, you know, allow access to your machine. So if you're going to do it, make it very specific in the firewall rules where it says, you know, any kind of people coming in on this port only have access to this one PC. All right. Now, again, that doesn't create significant protection, but it's a little bit better. You know, don't just open up the port and then, you know, allow, you know, somebody to start fishing around on your network.
I see. So the question is, is the VPN function in this machine good enough, or should I be put a unify between it? Is it more secure?
You know, if you throw a firewall in between there, it's definitely more secure. A firewall is you know, I mean, obviously it depends on which one you buy, but they're much they're geared much more towards protection than a home mesh wireless system. You know, and they have you know, they have all kinds of intrusion detections, and they do a significant more to your network and protection than, you know, an ASUS mesh network.
I see.
You know, so it's surely, you know, I think the one that I had recommended, the Unify one, is a couple of $100 to go in and buy. It's got a nice, you know, UI interface on it, and it does a fairly good job. I've had people try to break into my network with that. When I ran my co-working space, that's what I used, and it did a pretty good job, you know, of keeping people out for such a low cost.
And so that would be put between those two boxes?
Yeah, it would be between those two boxes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and your wireless just becomes one of the ports off of the firewall. Yep.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Then another question is file storage. So I'm concerned about the ransomware as other people, and I'm taking care of the Windows PC and MacBook with the reasonable security measures.
Okay.
But in case of a ransom attack, if happens, what would be the better way to protect the files, or shall I do both? So storing files in the cloud, that is OneDrive and iCloud.
Yep.
Should they be always connected or cut off most of the time, or store them in local storage hardware and cut off the network connection most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think I had mentioned in I forget which webinar I did, but was encrypting your hard drive. Start off by encrypting it.
Okay.
Both Microsoft and the Mac offer, you know, free versions with their operating system, so that at least protects your local hard drive, you know, from some people. It's not going to protect you from everything, but you know, the best defense against ransomware is to have a full backup of your system. So in not necessarily of your operating, like I'm not talking about creating an image of your hard drive every night. That's just significant overhead in storage. But what I've done with my machine at home is I have an online backup tool that I bought, and every night, any new file that I've created, whether it's on OneDrive or Dropbox or my local hard drive, is being uploaded and stored in an encrypted, you know, area on the web. So that if I ever did get hacked and ransomware, sometimes the best defense against ransomware is just rip your hard drive out, put a new one in, and start from scratch. So a lot of times that's faster than than trying to, pay the ransomware or, or trying to figure out what to do. As far as the OneDrive and the iCloud, the dangers with them is that if somebody does get access to your machine and you're unaware of it, well, they then have, at that moment, they have access to your OneDrive and iCloud drive, right? And they could delete it all locally, which will ultimately delete it all, online. And you can't go to Microsoft and say, hey, I'd like a backup copy of my OneDrive. They're going to tell you, go pound sand. They don't do that. So that's why I take a backup. I think somebody asked the question, what was the service, Diane? I use, oh gosh, what the heck is it called? Hold on, let me look. I think it's called iDrive. iDrive is the software that I use. It's relatively inexpensive and it provides a significant amount of storage. And I actually back my phones, my tablets, and all my computers, up with it every night. And it's set to, only upload the things that change. So after your first significant upload, it's just doing on a nightly basis what has changed. And I do back up my OneDrive and my I have Dropbox as well. And even though I know they're out on the network, my concern is that situation where either I, like an idiot, delete something and forget that, and don't think of it until months later, or somebody is able to get access to my machine and erases all of those things, because then they'll just be erased online. But, it's funny because backup was, for years, the only means of protection that all of us had. For all of you out there that are at least my age, but it's still one of the best things out there to protect yourself. And, there's some great tools that, that provide those options.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Rob,
That's all.
Yes.
I think Nadine, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yes.
And maybe if Ken can stop sharing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish the sharing. I can't do it easily. Sorry.
Okay. There we go.
I just booted them. Sorry. All right.
Yeah. Thank you for hosting this. I think this is great. I'm learning a lot. And I wanted to hear your thoughts, good and bad, about Google Calendars and how have you seen businesses use these to their advantage, please?
Oh gosh, I know tons of businesses that use Google Calendars, and love it. Have done great things with it. I'm personally not a big fan of Google Calendar, but I do know a lot of people who use it and use it well. And one of the nice things about Google Calendar is there are so many products out there today that integrate with it. Whereas they don't necessarily integrate with Microsoft. So I've always been a Microsoft guy. But, with Google Calendars, you can do just about anything, out there, with it. Is there a specific feature that you're wondering about?
Just all in general, what can it really do for you? I've been ignoring it, but I think that I could use it to my advantage. I have a marketing company that helps businesses contribute to the community by designing giving calendars. And I was wondering all the advantages you've seen in different things to give me new ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, anybody on the lines, because I'm not a big Google person, is there anyone, here that can kind of speak to that?
I mean, I'm happy to share a few ways I use Google Calendars. Is I have a Google Calendar that I call my master calendar. So those are things I want to show up for. It also interfaces with my Calendly and, any of the booking tools I use. I mainly use a tool called Book Like a Boss. I don't like the name, but what I like about it is that it asks me if I want to confirm the meeting. It doesn't automatically go into my calendar. So, I'm relatively visible. People say they want to meet me and I'm just kind of like, why, and if, and it just lets me kind of have a filter of that. So that that says, Diane, are you free at noon? It's like, no, that time is blocked today. You
Yeah.
can't book that. And, you know, where it says 2:00, and I mean, I've never rejected anybody, but it also gets reminders. So the Google Calendar I have does that. Then I have an FYI calendar, which is, I'd like to go to this, such as I could have exercised right now, but Rob, I'm with you. So, you know, my exercise is on my FYI. And then I live in downtown Boston. I'm actually right near the, you know, TD Garden. And so I have the Celtics calendar and the Bruins calendar. So I know if I can leave the building and get anywhere, you know,
Wow.
so that overlaps. Then I created a perfect day calendar, which is you get up, you exercise, you do sales calls from 10 to 12, you do, you know, LinkedIn from 1 to 3. And so when I'm kind of like feeling disoriented, I can go to my business calendar that overlays. I can put all of these as overlap, or I can uncheck them and see nothing but my,
Right.
you know, so for me, I like that. You know, Google provides other calendars that you can add in the weather, you know, if
Yep.
you do a lot of work in Europe, you could do the French you know, French holidays. If you're, you know, Muslim, you could add in the Muslim holidays, you know, just different things like that, that lets you, oh, I do a fair amount of work in, you know, with Asians. So I want to know it's Chinese New Year. And,
Yep.
you know, I kind of know it's Chinese New Year, but it's kind of like, how long does that really last? You know, so those are just a couple reasons why, you know, I like Google Calendar. And also I can share it relatively easily.
Yes.
I use Outlook for work in many cases because I work with a group that uses only Outlook. I just haven't found it as, you know, easy to do those types of things.
Yep. Lorian, did you have something you wanted to add?
I also use Google Calendar, kind of similar, except for I do see the way you can make calendars in Google Calendar, but I use that to interface with all my other calendars,
Yeah.
like other calendar apps. So that way I just use Google Calendar as the main one to give me notifications. It's always going to ping me on my computer or phone.
Right.
And then I let all my apps integrate with it. So I have the notifications.
Yeah, and that's what I found to be one of the key benefits of Google Calendars is the integration with other applications are seamless. You know, and I've done some crazy things. So when I ran my co-working business, we used to have these website listings where you put your meeting rooms and things out there. They all integrated with Google, but I was using Microsoft. But Microsoft integrates with Google. So they would integrate with Google and then Google would integrate with my Microsoft. It was crazy, you know, but you know, you make it happen. Yep. All right. This is all good stuff. What other stuff do we have? Who else has questions out there?
Looks like Susan just joined. Susan, do you have any questions for Rob? If you want to unmute yourself and ask away. Or not. There you go.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just glad to be here. This is my first, I just happened to see this and signed up for it. And I'm just going to listen for now, but I plan to attend on a regular basis. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks.
This will
Thanks for
be a
coming.
great help. Okay.
This is
Can
our
I
first
ask where
too.
you're
So
from? Susan,
that?
with that accent, where are you from?
Arkansas, just
Arkansas,
along the
okay.
line of Arkansas and Oklahoma.
Okay.
And it is icy down here this morning.
I think
Great.
we're getting
Well,
that same
welcome.
system tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob, I put in the chat, I don't know if this is helpful to anybody else. How do you organize your pictures? I have photos everywhere and nowhere. And when I try and find them for a PowerPoint or I'm trying to attach them to, you know, whatever it is, I'm on a Mac, you know, and I've got the iPhone and all of the rest of it. And I also find that, you know, and if I need to do this, I can do this. But, you know, part of it is, you know, you know, how do I find a cat? How do I find, you know, headshot? Do I have to go in every time I get pictures, spend a few hours tagging them? I played around with a tool. You may have heard of it called Photo Mechanic.
Nope.
It's pretty clever, but it needs to be on a hard disk. And, you know, and my pictures are in iCloud. And so I moved them to a disk, and, then I'm on, so I've got, this computer and that computer and on my phone, and which disk was it on? What backup drive was it on? It just made me loony. So I'm just, if anybody has insights on this, I'm trying to blog more. I'm trying to put the pictures into my videos. Lorian, I sent you a message if we can catch up on videos. I'd love to do that.
Yeah. That's a pretty loaded question.
The panel.
What's interesting is like iCloud has some pretty nifty AI, built into it. You literally can type in, show me pictures of a cat, and it will find pictures of a cat. Show me selfies. It does a very good job of things like that. I don't have too many photos in what I do today, but when I was a software developer, I had tons of photos of images and things that I incorporated into my apps. And it was just a matter of file structures, and being organized and putting them all in one place. With a product like iCloud or OneDrive or Google Drive, having everything in one of those is key. So if it is on a hard drive, if it's on a Mac, if it's on a PC, if it's in the cloud, at least it's all in one place, and if you have replication turned on, right, you make a change of a file online, it's automatically on every PC that has access to it, and that's how, everything I do today is in that scenario. I have one place I store my files, and that's it. And it shows up wherever I go. It shows up. It's on my phone, it's on the browser, and it's on all my PCs. And I used to have a folder called images, and then underneath there, I would break them all down. The challenge obviously becomes when one image can fit into multiple categories. Then where do you stick it?
And then, I share an image with, my web developer, and then it turns out I've got 20 versions, 20 copies of like, which one's the most accurate one, or.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not alone in that. But again, it just all comes down to organization, and, even some of those workflow tools, using them to share versions and things is one way of addressing that. So, that if you've got it in Asana or we use Teams here, you post it up there, somebody makes changes to it, and the current file is always the current file, and it's a nice way of collaborating with people.
Diane, can I just ask what you do? You don't have to be specific, but I'm fascinated by your organization or lack thereof, or everything you got going on is very impressive. What is it that you do for
what I do? So I teach communication skills, and I'm creating online courses.
Okay.
So pre-COVID, I was a speaker all around the world. I was doing speeches for European Cardiology Society and teaching them how to network. So my books are published by McGraw-Hill in 9 languages on networking. And so people think about networking as, kind of a bad Rodney Dangerfield at a cocktail party. I'm telling them that, and a new talk I have is how to work the Zoom room. So, and it's the technical part of the raising of hands, or it's the, I can actually move. So Carolyn raised her hand right now, so she's in the top box, but I can actually go to, Susan, and I can move her up into the next box if Susan was asking, if I wanted to talk to her, or I would remind myself that. Yeah. And then I talk about how you can download the chat, put it into, Evernote. So the way to network is to do something kind. My neighbor wanted to, message me the other night on Facebook, and she said, I can't find your phone number. I hope you remember me. I live down the hall. Any chance you could go to CVS? I finished my surgery and I'm really in a lot of pain. I'm like, of course, that's networking. It's sending a thank you note. It's sending an article. I just finished doing a 4-part workshop for attorneys who are solo practitioners on teaching them how to build a book of business, by getting referrals, a minimal LinkedIn page, you
Mhm.
know, then how do you follow up? The difference between persistence and stalking, or being, you know, like, of course you'll think of me. No, you won't think of you if somebody doesn't follow up and follow up and follow up.
Right.
So I'm creating these online courses, and some of them are static, if you will. So it's a bunch of videos. You can watch it anytime you want. I did one on cartoons. And so it's my voice with cartoon characters. And that's really me reading my book, and people can, you know, jump in there and do that. And then I'm doing what's called a live cohort, which is people sign up for 4 workshops, you know, over a week. I mean, every Tuesday at noon was these lawyers. And I talked through about what is networking. And then we went to the LinkedIn page, and then I did tools such as this. You need a CRM, you need a calendar, you need, you know, these types of things, where it should be. And then the last one was, how do you keep in touch with people? And so this is kind of what I'm doing. And so I have a lot of moving parts. I have over here in my living room corner, well, you kind of can't see it, but in the corner over there is, I gave up my living room, and I have lights and the microphone and, you know,
Yep.
all that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to up level. I had somebody, an Emerson student, help me with this, but she has it all recording in Zoom. Well, that's really crappy.
Yeah.
You know, it compresses it, and all of a sudden I spent 2 months and whatever amount of dollars with this young lady, and bought a camera, and it's null and void, and I got to start over again, you know, setting this up. I'm trying to do some YouTubes as well. So
Yeah.
just hustling.
Very nice.
Wow. All right, Carolyn, what is your question?
Well, it was pretty much to address what Diane said about finding photos, because I'm a photographer.
Okay.
And I probably have 500,000 photos, and I have a hard time finding mine too. So, but what I found that the easiest thing to do is I put everything in categories, you know, landscapes, animals, so on and so forth, to make sure I label every single photo with what it actually is. So when I go to search something, I just type in cat, and then I get all the cat files as JPEGs. I get to pick out the one that I want. Actually, my marketing is, I do a lot of Facebook marketing, and I do a lot of LinkedIn marketing too. And I think I have 4,000 on my Facebook, 12,000 on my LinkedIn. So I share just my photos. So, you know, on one particular day, I'll make sure that I pick a category. Okay, I'll post flowers all day today. So I, you know, just because it's impact is, and people's like, oh yeah, Carolyn, she's on a flower thing today, you know, and or landscapes or whatever. I also do portraits for business people too, and I make sure I have to label the person's full name on the file. And because I get people from 15 years ago says, you know, like a mortgage broker at a bank, oh, do you have Sue Jones' photo from, you know, 10 years ago? You know, and I go, well, great, you know, and
She doesn't want to show the wrinkles, huh?
fortunately, I'm able to find them. No, I show the photo that was the original photo without the editing, and then it's like they are that day, you know. So, but I think that the best lesson I learned in college in a pottery class was when I did umpteen million pots, and my professor came along and he said, I want you to smash every single one of them except for one that you like. So basically, tight editing, get rid of everything that doesn't hit you in the heart. Marie Kondo, if you know anything about her, you know, it's
If
like
it
death
doesn't
clean.
bring you joy.
If it doesn't
Ouch.
bring you joy, get rid of it, because I have 6 hard drives under my desk here, and I've got about 40 terabytes. There's no need for any of that stuff, but I'm gonna have to sit down 1 year and go through all of those, you know. But again, fortunately, I'm on the end of my career, so and you know, the photos that I really want, I have labeled so that I can find them very, very easily. Whether they're anywhere, I don't put anything on the cloud. Everything's on hard drives, and each one is, I have a backup for each one of them. So, you know, and I work from a desktop all the time. So that's my advice, and I have to go because I have another meeting. So
All righty.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Carolyn.
It's like, I just gotta figure out how to shut this thing off because this is actually my first Zoom meeting, so I gotta figure that out.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
I gotta go find whatever the.
There should be a little red button in the lower corner that says
That
end.
says leave.
And
Leave.
Leave. Okay.
Hey,
Leave,
Rob,
there we
on
go.
the iDrive, if I have 4 or 5 computers, does it have one for each?
The account that you can have can back up multiple computers. And when you look at it like online, it actually organizes it by machine that's
Okay.
been backed up. Yep.
This isn't bad. This isn't bad at all.
Yeah, no, the
Cost-wise.
price isn't bad. Yeah. Yep. And I mean, that's just the one I use. I know there are other ones that are out there. But I found this, I've been using this one probably for close to 10 years.
I'll
So,
take your recommendation. Thank you.
so
Sue?
Vladimir, I'm going to put you on the spot. I see you're here in stealth mode. So I'm going to ask you to come out of stealth mode.
And Susan Crowley has a question. And also
Oh.
I wanted to know is it real that we should be worried about our webcams and cover them up? Can people see into our houses?
I mean, they definitely can be hacked. That's for sure. I tend to, because most of them today have that little door that you can put over it. I do tend to put that over it. And again, it's, the possibility exists. Is someone going to do it? Who knows? But anything can be hacked. It's like I say in my cybersecurity webinars, it's not a matter of if anymore. It's a matter of when and how prepared you are. So
I'm always amazed when people have their birthdays in their email.
yeah. Susan, go ahead. Do you have a question?
All right, I have been going all in Microsoft, and I've been making that transition for quite a while. I used to use, I got into Office 365 and I had other software that I used in conjunction with that, and I feel like over the pandemic that Microsoft changed so much for the better.
Yeah.
And I had Dropbox and Adobe and
Yep.
Microsoft, and I used Gmail.
Mhm.
So I migrated from going all in with Microsoft. I migrated from Gmail to Outlook, and I've done pretty good with that. And I've had some issues with syncing my office phones and my laptops and all that, but I think I'm making it there. And now I'm getting ready to migrate all my Dropbox to OneDrive.
Okay.
And I feel like that I can do that now. And I have some other case management software that now integrates with Office 365. It's a legal office software named Clio.
Okay.
And so I guess I'm saying all this because I'm hoping somebody's going to say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Keep at it. But I'm going to do the migration Tuesday from Dropbox to go all into OneDrive. And then I'm working more with Teams.
Okay.
Teams has kind of been driving me crazy because I set up these teams and I've made these channels, and nobody, in all this great stuff I was putting in there, I kept asking everybody, why aren't you responding to me? Have you not got it? And then I figured out tags yesterday. I figured out tags, and I'm hoping when I did tags, I went back through everything and then I would tag everybody.
Yep.
That's how they know that you're talking to them in Teams. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that definitely is, a way of doing it. Now, I mean, I assume you've invited them to all these channels that you've created. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
And so if they never open up Teams, they're never going to see it. I mean, that's the problem. And Sarah and I are experiencing very similar, situations here in this office. Some of us are trying to use Teams and the other half is just not opening it up. So, they're even with tagging them, they're still not gonna see it.
So when you put someone in Teams, that's a guest that's not in your organization, because I'm not sure if some of the other people, even have, I don't know that they have an Office 365 subscription,
Right.
maybe I know one of them maybe has a student version or a basic version or something. And the other ones, I don't know that they have that. And, I just assumed, when you put someone in as a guest, they're going to be able to, and if they download the app, they can get the app at least, that they should be able to see. It seems like yesterday they would see like my general channel, where I had communication with them, but they weren't seeing the other channel, that I'd set up under the Teams for like training or whatever, and I mentioned it to them, but it's not like it's just organic, like they're just not seeing that.
Yeah.
Why is, and so you're saying they have to be knowing about Teams and looking.
Yeah. If you go in, you can actually go into Teams and put a setting in there that says if ever I'm mentioned, or if this particular channel has activity, send me an email and, remind me of that. But you have to physically go in and make that setting happen, so if you've got an individual that just isn't interested in being part of a team on Teams, that's a whole different, that's not a technical issue. That's a team issue,
Well, and I put my setting like that, so I see that, but I just need to then tell them to do that.
Yep. And it's just a matter of getting used to it. There even is a web version of Teams. So if they don't even want to download the software, there's a web version of it that they can use. Every single Microsoft product now is available as a web tool, as a web page.
Oh gosh, thank you. That's good information.
Yeah. I would agree with you 100%. Microsoft has really kind of stepped up their game in the past 2 years. The Office 360 package now includes a ton of software, booking software, nice list software. They have, their publisher application. They have PowerPoint, obviously, Word and Excel, and it just goes on and on and on. What you actually get with your subscription. Now, did you buy a business version of Office 365?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, because the business version then comes with security. So when you put stuff on OneDrive, it's secure. If you just buy a personal version of it, or even their free version of it, there's no guarantee on kind of the security of it.
And if I'm not mistaken, okay, you talk about security, and you just said about not if you're going to get hacked, but when.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the great thing about Dropbox back in the day, that if you got ransomware or something happened, you could dial back and, shut everything down and dial back and get everything back from a certain date with Dropbox. And am I correct in saying that OneDrive has that same capability now?
It does, and you'd have to check. It depends on the level that you've purchased, of how much history they actually retain. All right. Okay. Now, if you accidentally delete a folder, it does go into the deleted folder on OneDrive, and it sits there. I don't know for how long. I think it's a month. But if you go beyond that time, like 3 months later, you say, "Oh, geez, I deleted something. I want it back." Microsoft is not going to restore it for you, nor is Dropbox, nor is Google. There is no guarantees that they give you that they're going to restore prior versions of your files. And that's why having a backup tool that does guarantee that is my way of combating that, because, you know, I delete stuff all the time and I don't need that. And then 3 months later, I was like, oh, where the heck is that file?
Okay.
Yep.
Now, so you're saying the backup tool for that, and what are you using for that? For
It's a
your
piece of software
backups?
called iDrive.
Okay.
And again, that is just one of many tools that are out there, but it's a little agent you stick on your PC, and you tell it what folders you want to back up. And if there's ever a change in one of those files, it'll send it up, you know, to the web. I don't have mine on continuous mode because that takes a lot of network traffic. So I leave my PCs on all the time. My PCs have been on for years. And every night at 2 a.m, it then does the transfer, you know, of information up to the web. It backs up my stuff.
Okay.
And I get a little report every
Okay.
morning that says how many files, you know, were backed up, and it will keep, it keeps many more versions of things, and it keeps them for an indefinite period of time. There's settings that you can go in and kind of determine how long you want to keep that. And you just got to keep in mind that if you don't delete it permanently, that occupies space, and you pay by the gigabyte that, you know, your subscription is based on a gigabyte list, you know, or a gigabyte size. So.
Okay. Do you all feel that teams, I mean, if people that's included in the team are participating, that Teams is really a superior way to work collaboratively, also given that you can add other apps to a team, such as Excel, OneNote, all of that. Would that be your feeling?
I would never call any software the superior one. A software package is only as good as you use it and your team uses it. And I can list probably 5 platforms that are like Teams, that if you all use it and you use it to its max, that it'll work great. Teams is a great product. It has many features, and like you said, you can embed many different things. You can change them by group, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. I just even the chat feature alone, I find phenomenally helpful with all of us being remote. You know, instead of clogging up emails, you know, and I got a quick question for Sarah, I just send her a message, and you know, when she's available or she sees it, she's on all the time, I'm all the time, and one of my other teammates is on all the time. We communicate mostly through chat in Teams, and just that feature alone is phenomenally helpful. But then the whole concept of sharing ideas and developing things, you can stick Microsoft Planner in there if you're doing project management. You know, there's just an endless number of things that you can add to that environment, but it's only as good as the people who use it. You know, and
yes,
unfortunately that's just the way it is. You know, you can take the crappiest product out there, and as long as all of you use it, it's a good product. You know,
well, I have come to have a deeper understanding or appreciation of the time or the level or the open-mindedness that a person must have continually to navigate in this world, in this business world. I mean, you've got to stay up with things, and I'm going to be 60 years old, and you know, maybe I didn't have all that figured in, and it just keeps getting faster, and you know, I just have to understand. and you know, I just have to understand that there's a certain amount of time that one must dedicate to it. And just like this lunchtime chat, I mean, this is great.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think people forget that there are options out there, and you just have to keep at it, you know, and that maybe you're better at it than you think you are. So there, you know, you have to get past that point where you think you're going to mess up, well, there's a workaround. You can do it, you know, but like you say, everybody's got to be willing to. I find so many people resistant to training.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. Well, especially, yeah, especially the older generation, they have their ways of doing things and they aren't necessarily willing to change. I don't know, Lorian, if you want to say anything. Lorian runs a software development team, and I mean, they do collaboration, you know, all through these tools. I mean, my guess is you guys don't meet that much, you know, but
Yeah,
in person, but you do everything via these tools. And you know, when you see it work, it's phenomenal.
But I do agree, it is difficult to set up though, because there's always an update that you don't know happened, and then there's an extra feature, and then you finally figure it out. This was here the whole time.
And like I said earlier, it could be a time suckage too. I mean, you start, you know, pulling the strings on some of these software things, and the next thing it's 4 hours later.
Yeah.
You know, so,
And speaking
but it's
of
fun. I mean, I've
time-
been in technology since the first computer was introduced in the business world back in the early 80s. And to have watched it evolve, you know, through that time has just been a phenomenal experience for me. You know, and I consider myself so lucky to have entered the business world right as the first IBM XT came in, you know, and that was just kind of neat stuff. Yep.
Rob, there was a question, and I'm curious about this too. I am pretty sure I have the home version of Microsoft.
Okay.
Is there any simple way, because I haven't been able to find it, to migrate to the business version?
From personal to business. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
Okay. Can I come back in 2 weeks and get it?
Yeah, I can see if I can find something about that. Yep.
Because I think there are tools. I mean, I'm on a Mac, but obviously Microsoft Word, Excel, and I think there is a project management tool that's kind of, you know, not one of their top 10. It's not as complicated as MS Project, but it's a little bit more sophisticated than,
Right.
you know, a Trello that I've heard could be helpful for my project management. So I just wanted to see about accessing that, but I went round the bend over the holidays, and clearly I was working with the B team on the tech support chat. So
Yeah, they have, so Microsoft Project was kind of like the Cadillac for years. The only thing that was out there, and that's another tool that you can get lost in, but they have now a tool called Project, and it is a scaled down version of that. And yeah, that's kind of it's not a bad tool that's out there. I'll check into that. My first thoughts are no. That those are really two separate divisions of the organization. And I'm pretty sure I've tried to answer this question before, and the answer was always no.
Okay.
But I'll look into it and see if I can find any more information.
I mean, other than unsubscribing and then resubscribing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
From a quick research, that's what I saw. They did say you get a refund if you purchase the 1 year within 30 days before you unsubscribed, or if you're on a monthly.
Right.
But that's-
Okay. I think I'm on an annual. I think just every year I get hit up for whatever it is. And, you know, let's make Bill Gates a little bit more money, right?
Yeah. So one of the questions was, what does MS specifically for business compared to the home version? I think some of the software that's provided is one of those answers, but I do know that their level of security on their platforms definitely increases when you get to that business level.
And I think that's more what I want.
Yeah.
So.
So I know that they are HIPAA compliant, they're high tech compliant, they've got all of their SOC 60 things. So if you actually approach them and have to prove that your platform falls under those, they will provide you with the documentation that says that their environment is. How you implement it obviously is different, but I know on the personal side, none of that exists. You cannot get that. So you're on shared servers, you know, you're not in a very secure, I shouldn't say very secure. It's fairly secure, but it's not as secure as the business side. And I know on the business side, there are definitely software, you know, that they offer. Well, Dynamics being one of them, but Dynamics is a high-end CRM SAP that on a personal level, you would not need something like that. Yep. All right, so we're actually over our hour at this point.
This
so
is great. Thank you.
We're going to run these
Thank you.
every first and third. What is today? Thursday of the
Thursday.
month. So you're more than welcome to come back any one of those times. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same link every week.
Thank you.
All
Thank
righty.
you all
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much. Thank
Hey,
you. See
Thank
you
you
next
for
time.
all of you for being part of number one.
All right. Yay.
The
Okay.
inaugural.
Yes. All righty, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good day.